Welcome to Mystic Realms Recap. Links are in the description below. Please show some love of the author and me. On to the show.
Gyuku River Bank. In the Gyuku city, where people come and go, the king of Manhwa was frightened and looked at the figure in front of him who was much younger than him. "Your Excellency, is this King Shenyu?" he asked with a trembling voice. He was not present when the Shenyu Principality was established, so he did not know Lin Yu. Beside him, Lao Zhou had a wry smile on his face. "I didn't expect that my old friend, a wise man, would do such stupid things. Fortunately it was discovered in time. Otherwise, if the other party takes action, it may not be as simple as an apology." "Are you the king of Manhwa?" Lin Yu looked calmly and silently looked at the man in front of him. "You are the one who took over my territory." No, I just..." Manhwa stammered and opened his mouth, but was suddenly questioned by Lin Yu, looking a little flustered. He was just impulsive and did not think carefully. "Please forgive him for his mistake." Lao Zhou next to him immediately came to his rescue. "Oh, this is not as simple as impulse, right?" Lin Yu asked, looking directly at the two of them. Feeling his gaze, Lao Zhou felt his heart skip a beat, almost jumping out of his throat. The person in front of him was a terrifying being, who had beaten all the great gods, and crushed the top 10 levels of all walks of life. He couldn't help but be frightened just by the vague aura coming out of his body. "If I don't have a good explanation today, I'm afraid the consequences will be disastrous." He immediately poked Manhwa, who was in a daze next to him, with his elbow. "Ah, yes, he is right." Manhwa reacted immediately, gritted his teeth, and said quickly, "I am indeed the one who has been offended this time. I am willing to cede Manhwa City across the river bank as an apology." "Your Excellency, you think how?" Manhwa City. Lin Yu was slightly surprised. It was an 8th level city just like Gyuku City. The king of Manhwa was so willing to transfer it directly to him. Seeing that the other party was so sincere, he smiled again. "Since King Manhwa is so generous, I won't be polite. I just hope that this kind of thing will not happen again in the future." The Principality of Manhwa is a subordinate of the kingdom next door. Although the friction between the principalities will not be taken care of by the superiors, he is about to upgrade to the 11th level, so it is better not to offend a kingdom easily. "That's natural. I promise it will never happen again." King Manhwa secretly wiped the sweat from his forehead. In just a few words, he felt the terrifying aura on Lin Yu's body. This kind of oppressive feeling has never been encountered even by the top kings. With 9 divine heads on the battlefield, he couldn't help but feel lucky. Fortunately, Lao Zhou arrived in time to give him advice. Although losing a city was a bit heartbreaking, as long as the trouble could be settled, it was considered a great blessing among misfortunes, that's all. After chatting briefly for a while and becoming familiar with each other, Manhwa and Lao Zhou left in a hurry. He also took the men who occupied the city to evacuate and return the city to the Principality of Shenyu, as it was. After all the people were gone, all the powerful people in Gyuku City, large and small, swarmed in and came to Lin Yu. "Meet the king." "Greetings to the king." Loud shouts rang out in the hall of the city lord's mansion. The leaders of these various forces were all trembling with fear and extremely excited to salute Lin Yu. Little people like them don't have many opportunities to see the king. Now that the king has come to Gyuku City in person, how can he dare to neglect it? As soon as he received the news, he rushed over from home to pay homage. "Forgive me." Lin Yu glanced around at the people below, and sat directly at the top of the table. "In a few days, I will arrange for a lord to come over and take charge of this place. You must assist me wholeheartedly." "Yes, I will obey the king's will." The responses came one after another, not daring to violate anything. "Okay, let's all go back. It's time for me to leave." Having said that, Lin Yu didn't stay long. After sending a message to Yin Tianj and others to explain the situation and let them arrange it, he disappeared and rushed back to Huangsha City. While on the road, he finally had the opportunity to calm down and enter the original universe. After receiving the energy pouring from the world tree, various things happened, so that he never had the opportunity to check the changes in the original universe. Now that I have some free time, I naturally want to check it out. Unexpectedly, when his mind appeared in the original universe, he was shocked by the scene in front of him. On the world tree in the center of the universe, the number of faith fruits has skyrocketed from the original 300 to 500, and they are hanging on the branches of the world tree, and are rapidly maturing. And the intelligent creatures in some galaxies have begun to establish dynasties, gradually moving from the primitive era to the old civilization era. This is not the point. What surprised Lin Yu most was that he actually felt the existence of time in the original universe. To be precise, it should be the existence of the law of time. As long as he has a thought, he can change the flow rate of time in the original universe at will. This is much stronger than the flow rate that he can only change by one time on the 10,000 realms continent. However, considering that he only had a partial understanding of the original universe. He did not make any changes at will in the end, and just took a look at the original interface. Name, world tree, origin, category, plants, level 10, 8/10, range, 800 kilometers, talent effect, physical fitness plus 16%, recovery speed plus 16%, ability, soul domain, racial talent, summoning space, storage, law of time, introduction. It is formed by condensing souls. When it grows to a certain level, it can evolve into a realm. Note: click here to expand the talents of each department. There are only 2 fragments of the Godhead left for him to reach the 11th level. With his current strength, as long as the war between the 2 camps starts again, there is still a great chance to collect it certainly. It is not ruled out that the old king on the opposite side will intervene to prevent him from killing other kings on the opposite side. Although he is now confident that he can easily defeat the Lord with 9 Godhead fragments, it will still be a bit tricky if several appear at once. It doesn't take much. Just blocking him for a moment is enough for a 10th level lord to teleport away. I don't know when the next war will be, Lin You muttered to himself, then closed the interface and exited the original universe. However, just as he was preparing to travel through space again, there was a sudden boom in the distance, and a magnificent and dazzling light pillar rose into the sky, straight into the sky, causing the entire sky to shake violently. This is the vision of the Lord's upgrade. Lin Yu was shocked and confused. This vision was several times more exaggerated than when he upgraded to the 10th level. Even from a distance, he could feel a palpitating aura. Could it be that someone on the primitive continent has broken through to the 11th level? Aha! Just as he was thinking about it, the space next to him suddenly became distorted. Jixing traveled through space and appeared next to him. That direction seems to be within the Sky Empire, Jixing said in a deep voice. Sky Empire. Lin Yu's expression changed slightly. The Sky Empire was the empire that was close to the original evil realm, and was also the location of the main city of the original border battlefield. Now that the continents of various realms are gradually merging, and the spatial barriers in the middle have been broken, I am afraid that many people from other realms will learn about the birth of an 11th level lord. Once the news spreads, the newly promoted king will definitely be targeted. It should be an old king who is nearing the end of his life. Jixing sighed. He is naturally very familiar with the dangers of the 11th level. It is not a wise move to advance when a battle between the 2 sides is imminent, but facing the threat of dying, one has to take risks and fight. After all, people are the most vulnerable in the face of death. No matter how indifferent you are to life and death, when you are actually facing death, the fear that penetrates into the depths of your soul like maggots in your tarsus is very terrifying and will definitely greatly activate your desire to survive. And just as the 2 of them were observing this strange phenomenon, Emperor Xinyao's voice suddenly sounded on the Empire channel. Everyone, gather at the boundary battlefield early tomorrow morning, and prepare to launch a general attack. Early tomorrow morning, so fast. Lin Yu and Jixing were both shocked. They just came back from the living world, and they hurriedly launched a general attack. Did something happen, or is there a reason to attack? But no matter what the reason was, Lin Yu was overjoyed. In the past, the only way for him to obtain fragments of his godhead was to go to the battlefield of all realms every 3 months, or to try his luck in the monster plane. But it's different now. The emergence of the war between the 2 camps gave all the lords an opportunity to accumulate resources very quickly, and naturally they could not miss it easily. After looking at each other and saying goodbye to Jixing, he rushed back to Huangsha City and made preparations in the territory. He also called on Shuai Changgui and others to arrange things in the principality. In a blink of an eye, it was early the next morning. Not long after dawn, Lin Yu set off directly for the boundary battlefield. When he teleported into the war camp, the entire camp was already filled with lords from all walks of life. Even those who were climbing the ladder rushed over one after another, talking excitedly among the team, because they received news that this time the emperors planned to completely invade the hinterland of the Realm Alliance and go straight to the home bases of the 2 major realms, the Eternal Realm and the Demonic Realm. This is a rare opportunity to kill the opposing lord and obtain a large amount of resources. Lin Yu, here. Seeing Lin Yu appear, Jixing, from the Primitive World team immediately waved to him. Jixing's voice was not concealed, and immediately attracted the attention of the other kings beside him. They all looked at Lin Yu with surprised eyes. Is he the Lin Yu who defeated King Zenchan? It shouldn't be wrong. Didn't the news say it's from the Primitive World? It's the Primitive World again. Yesterday, someone seemed to have successfully reached level 11, right? I've heard about it too. It's said that he is an old king who is about to expire. Your life is about to end. That's no wonder. The 10th level lords were talking in low voices. The news of Lin Yu and the 11th level appearance suddenly made the Primitive World the focus of everyone, and everyone looked towards them. Lin Yu quickly joined Jixing and the others and began to learn about the attack. It was not until half an hour later that the emperors finally appeared one after another and came to the sky above the team. Everyone, prepare to teleport. With an order, under the surprised eyes of the lords from all walks of life, he directly used the power of space to build a teleportation array that enveloped the entire war camp. Then the light in the sky lit up, and everyone disappeared in an instant. When he reappeared, he had arrived on a vast plain thousands of kilometers away. On the opposite side of the plain, there was the team of the Realm Alliance. Behind them is the passage leading to the hinterland of the Realm Alliance. The armies of both sides faced each other from a distance across the plain. The anti-alliance trash came here early in the morning. Are you so eager to die? In the center of the battlefield, the 10th level lords of both sides stood high in the sky, facing each other directly. When they met, the air was filled with a thick smell of gunpowder. This is what we want to say to you. You are here waiting to die so early in the morning. Do you think your life is too long? Faced with the ridicule of the Realm Alliance, the king of the anti-alliance side was not to be outdone, and directly responded with words. The entire battlefield stretches for thousands of miles, with the 10th and 11th levels on the left and right of the center respectively. Other low-level lords spread out, forming a long battle line on the endless plain below. As long as the emperors give the order, they will launch the most violent attack. Before the war started, the kings exchanged dirty words with no regard for their image, leaving the low-ranking lords below dumbfounded. But think about it, who can rise to the 10th level without crawling out of a mountain of corpses and a sea of blood? It's not surprising to make a lot of enemies along the way, and some of those enemies have reached the 10th level, which further intensifies the conflicts between them. They dislike each other no matter how they look at each other, and they want to get rid of each other quickly. However, just when the kings of both sides were shouting and hating each other, several kings in the Realm Alliance team suddenly noticed a familiar figure among the anti-alliance. Their expressions changed, and they fell into a commotion. It's him. He even came. The man who defeated Zenshin King. That figure was none other than Lin You, who was in the anti-alliance team. During the Origin of Life conference, many people had seen Lin You take action with their own eyes, so they naturally recognized him. Seeing him appear in the opposite team, his face suddenly looked frightened, and his eyes were full of fear. Even the anti-alliance side looked at him with surprise. I didn't expect him to come too. With him here, our chances of winning in the 10th level battlefield should be much greater this time. Really? Several old kings who had experienced the Origin conference said in surprise. The young kings nearby who had never been to the living world were shocked. Who is so powerful that one person can make them more likely to win? I'm afraid those old kings with 9 fragments of Godhead may not be able to do it, right? Unfortunately, without giving them a chance to think too much, a loud shout that resounded throughout the battlefield suddenly exploded in the sky. Everyone, follow the order and attack, rush, kill. In an instant, loud shouts of killing resounded throughout the battlefield. The armies of the two opposing armies turned into 2 black torrents and crashed into each other. There was no nonsense on the 10th level battlefield. With a wave of their hands, tens of thousands of soldiers appeared and charged into battle with the opponent's soldiers. The battlefield was filled with overwhelming momentum. What Lin You didn't expect was, as soon as the battle started, 2 lords with 9 Godhead fragments led their troops and quickly approached him, as if they had discussed it. Want to hold me back? Lin You narrowed his eyes and guessed the other party's plan at once. I just want to use these 2 guys to slow him down and prevent him from chasing the weak lord. Come out, it's time for you to play. Without hesitation, he waved his hand, and 10 royal soldiers appeared in front of him. Except for the forest sages, each royal family leads an army of plants behind them, forming 9 phalanxes in front of them. These are the 4-leaf clover enhanced troops that he spent time building yesterday. There are 18,000 in total. The main attributes of each have inherited the 4-leaf clover bonus skills, gaining an additional 40% improvement. The healing troops mutated from the proliferating grass. The number of 2,000 directly quadrupled to 8,000. Flower essences and lanterns were flying above the entire team. Attack! Hearing a loud shout from Qing Gang in the middle, the ancient tree, cactus, and nut soldiers among the 9 teams immediately rushed forward and faced the angel and demon legions surrounding them from the opposite side. Thousands of emerald green dragons soared into the sky and suddenly collided with the flying troops on the opposite side, starting a fierce aerial battle. Hellfire! The demonic white-haired old man on the opposite side obviously knew how powerful Lin You was, and he didn't hold back at all. He immediately launched the Lava Demon's group attack skills. As soon as he came up, in an instant, dark clouds gathered in the sky, and black-red flames turned into meteors and rain of fire across the sky, along with a large area of holy light the angelic holy sword roared towards the plant army. Wherever it went, all the water vapor evaporated instantly, and the air shook violently. When Qin Gang saw this, he immediately looked up to the sky and roared angrily. He activated his savage roar and increased the attributes of all soldiers by 30%. Boom boom boom. Exploding flames exploded among the plant army. Many weak plants were blown away directly, with a large number of burn wounds appearing on their bodies. But immediately, a dazzling light burst out from the sky. Brilliant skills. Activate. The intense light shrouded the surrounding 1 kilometer in the blink of an eye. The lanterns flying all over the sky within the range also triggered Kong Ming's thousands of light talents, and activated the replica version of the radiant skills one after another, shrouding the plant army and the demon angel army. He never summoned this type of soldier when he was in the living world. The angel-type middle-aged man behind him exclaimed, and was immediately restrained by the terrifying range of skills displayed by Kong Ming. He thought that in the final battle with Zhongwu, Lin You had used all his strength, but he didn't expect that Lin You actually had a trump card that he didn't use yet. In the blink of an eye, the Angel Knight Captain and the Demon Lord's Lava Dog team he rushed to the front quickly melted under the light of Kong Ming. They were not even given a chance to be treated, and were immediately turned into ashes, leaving the place where the two sides were fighting completely empty. Thousands of troops were lost in the blink of an eye. The damage caused by the radiant skill is converted into a healing amount in a proportional ratio, which can heal the injuries of the plant soldiers behind who are burned by hellfire. The plant, which was seriously injured and dying, immediately became energetic, and together with Lin Yu and several royal families, they bombarded the two troops indiscriminately. What a terrifying skill effect, the Demon Lord exclaimed in shock. Seeing his troops retreating steadily, falling like wheat, he immediately turned back to look at the Angel Lord. We can't delay it any longer, use the trick, good. Feeling the powerful strength of Lin Yu's troops, the two of them did not hesitate any longer. With a wave of his hand, tens of thousands of demons and angels flew high into the sky. Two energies, one light and one dark, quickly converged to form a huge Tai-Kai-like disc in the air. Lin Yu was shocked. He felt an aura in the disc that made his heart palpitate, and it even vaguely touched the 11th level. If it were swallowed by Tunton, he would probably explode and die. There's something wrong with this move. Come back quickly. With a loud shout, the royal family immediately shrunk their ranks and retreated within 1 kilometer of the forest sage while resisting the opponent's attack. It's useless. No one below level 11 can stop our move. The Angel Lord laughed loudly, and Yuan Pan's momentum suddenly surged, shattering the surrounding space. The other 10th level lords nearby looked over in shock. Even the 11th level lord, who was fighting hundreds of kilometers away, couldn't help but look here. Lin Yu just wanted to teleport to avoid it, but found that the rules around him were disrupted by a destructive force, making it impossible to break through the space. The next second, there was a loud bang. A black and white, rotating beam of light rushed out of the disc and shot towards his direction. Even the sound was distorted for a moment. Buzz. Lin Yu did not hesitate, and immediately asked the forest sages to activate the peaceful domain to protect all plant arms. The spiral beam of light collided hard on the peaceful domain, turning into huge waves of energy that dissipated in the air, annihilating the surrounding land. Seeing it at such a close distance, Lin Yu could feel the terrifying power contained in this attack. If he was hit from the front, he would probably be seriously injured even if he exploded with all his strength, let alone other soldiers, who would definitely be killed in an instant, and it was beyond his expectation. This attack is actually continuous. He persisted for 7 or 8 seconds, but the spiral beam of light showed no sign of dissipating, which made his heart suddenly sink. Seeing that the effect of the peaceful domain was about to end, without hesitation, he immediately asked the forest sage to activate the light of life skill. At the same time, Lin Yu's rules broke out. The protective barrier and the life curtain opened at the same time, and huge semicircular light masks enveloped him and the plants. Boom! Finally, the peaceful realm dissipated, and the spiral light beam suddenly fell, hitting the light mask hard, and completely exploded among the plant army. Success! The Angel Lord stood in the air, and looked excitedly at Lin Yu, who was overwhelmed by the energy of light and darkness. No, he's not dead yet. Unexpectedly, the old demon next to him suddenly exclaimed, and stared at Lin Yu, who was still standing there, and the plant soldiers with wide eyes. Although they were all seriously injured, they were still as stable as a mountain, and showed no signs of being killed. It is the effect of the light of life, forced to retain 1 point of physical fitness, within 10 seconds to survive. 5 seconds after the skill was activated, the two people's devastating light and dark strike finally ended. The protective barrier was also shattered, and the damage absorbed during the period was directly transformed into a thick shield on Lin Yu, and all the soldiers, giving them a solid layer of protection. Group therapy. Lin You gave the order and immediately used the power of rules to launch a savage roar. Nearly 10,000 flower essences and lanterns flew into the air, and their group healing skills lit up one by one, working hard to treat their injuries. Powered by double healing from Savage Roar and Life Shroud, Lin Yu's wounds were also recovering at a speed that was noticeable to the naked eye, which shocked the two people opposite him and the other lords nearby. How could you block such a powerful attack? And not even a single unit was lost. What a perverted defensive skill. That attack just now almost reached the 11th level, right? Is this his strength? At this moment, everyone was shocked by the strength Lin You showed. As for the two parties involved, the angels and demon kings, it was like waking up from a dream. No, it's impossible. How can you block this attack? The power of the light and dark attack jointly launched by the two lords with 9 fragments of the godhead was almost as powerful as the 11th level. But now they were easily resolved by Lin You. Even though the two 10th level lords, angel and demon, were firm-minded, they were so frightened that they stepped back. Lin You would naturally not let this opportunity pass by. Deal with them. With an order, the plant army dispersed again, and under the leadership of the royal family launched a counterattack against the two soldiers. In the blink of an eye, demon and angel troops fell in droves, falling sharply from 30,000 to less than 20,000. Especially the 3 groups of battle killers, the Ivy Mushroom Demon King and the Soul Chasers. A tentacle danced wildly, and the bloody kingdom was enveloped. There were mushrooms everywhere, and explosions were heard all the time. When chasing souls, the dream tree blooms, and the dandelion seeds with a shield to offset the damage directly carry the hell flames, and spread out, causing the opposite units to fall into chaos. The 3 of them were responsible for pushing almost all the way in a crushing manner, and there was no enemy at all. How come? The two lords opposite looked horrified. Looking at the 10 terrifying figures among the plant army, a wave of panic arose in their hearts. 10. The kind of abnormal soldiers summoned at the Origin Conference before. He actually has 10 in total. That is to say, he didn't even use half of his strength before. How can this be? In the panic, they didn't dare to think too much. They immediately summoned the troops and launched a defensive formation one by one. We're here to help. The 10th level lords from other realm alliances nearby also noticed the situation here, and immediately 2 more 8-level godhead fragments rushed over to help hold back Lin Yu's plant army. Lin Yu frowned. If this situation continued, he would have no chance of killing the low-level king on the opposite side, let alone obtain new fragments of his godhead. But even if he knew this would be the result, there was nothing he could do. After all, the strength he had shown before had already made people in the Realm Alliance fearful, and they sent these people specifically to stop him. Even those lords with 1 or 2 godhead fragments have stayed away from here, and retreated to the second line. Don't give them a chance to take action at all. You really think highly of me. Lin Yu felt helpless. Since he couldn't kill the 10th level lord on the opposite side, he should weaken these guys as much as possible. After thinking about it, he no longer held back and attacked one after another, and together with the royal family, they pressed towards the opponent's troops. The two sides collided fiercely on the battlefield. So strong, he can actually block 4 10th levels by himself, and they all contain more than 8 fragments of the godhead. Isn't this too perverted? The other kings from the anti-alliance camp nearby kept exclaiming, and they were all silenced by Lin Yu's powerful strength. To know, those are 2 8-piece and 2 9-piece godhead fragments. No matter who you take out, they won't be able to deal with it. But now, the combined forces of the 4 people could barely resist the attack of Lin Yu's plant army. I would like to ask, among all the 10 levels in the 10,000 realms continent, who can do it? And the 4 top combat forces were held back, which greatly increased the morale of the anti-alliance side. Amidst the deafening shouts and roars, the team of the Realm Alliance was gradually forced back to the entrance of the passage, and the battlefield on the 11th level seemed to be victorious one after another, suffocating the lords on the opposite side, and the corpses of the soldiers were piled up like mountains. Lin Yu gathered strength while collecting corpses. Finally, half an hour later, the entire defense line of the Realm Alliance collapsed. Retreat. The Emperor of the other side actually gave the retreat order directly without any hesitation. The huge army turned into a torrent, and merged into the space channel behind them, fleeing to the continent where the next realm was located. If Lin Yu remembered correctly, the opposite side should be the ghost world dominated by undead lords. As long as they pass through the ghost world, they can compress the base area of the Realm Alliance again, and their complete defeat is just around the corner. Pursuit. At this moment, the Dragon King's voice also sounded. Instead of stopping to make adjustments after winning, as in the past, I chose to take advantage of the victory and pursue it, and my playing style was much more radical than before. Rush, kill them all. The lords naturally knew that this was a rare opportunity. Without hesitation, amidst the shouts of killing, He led his troops all the way through the space passage and chased him into the ghost world. Just as described in the rumors, the entire ghost world was almost enveloped in a gray aura of death, and visibility was doubled in an instant. Everywhere he looked, there were tombstones and dead bones. There are also a large number of ghosts flying in the sky, and bursts of piercing screams are constantly heard in the ears. If you enter my territory in the ghost world, please stay here. The Realm Alliance obviously also expected that they would pursue the victory. On the way back, several great emperors from the ghost world teleported and appeared in various corners of the sky. Vast auras erupted, and death auras rose into the sky. The death energy that suddenly stirred up the entire ghost world gathered into hundreds of terrifying gray whirlpools on their way forward, connecting the world between heaven and earth. The entire ghost world was actually used to build a large formation to block their progress. Under the cover of the Great Formation, not only were the emperors held back, but also the anti-alliance army below were blocked by a sea of skeletons that suddenly emerged from the ground. Clean these monsters, level 10 or above, go deep in and destroy those death energy whirlpools. The Dragon King immediately issued various orders and continued to fight fiercely with the emperors from the Realm Alliance in the void, obviously unable to get away for a while. After receiving the order, the lords from all walks of life immediately understood it, and immediately led their troops to eliminate the skeletal monsters that appeared like a sea and slowly moved forward. Let's go. Let's destroy those formations. The lords of the 10th level and above were naturally not idle. They immediately divided into several directions and rushed through the space toward the death energy whirlpools. Want to destroy the formation? It's not that easy. The kings of the Realm Alliance, who were hidden in the death aura, sneered and also formed into teams, moving towards the anti-alliance, and launched harassment and sneak attacks on them. For a while, the fighting continued in the air of death, which greatly slowed down the advance of the anti-alliance side. Roar! At this moment, a shocking roar sounded from every corner of the formation. Around the base of the formation, terrifying skeleton ghost monsters crawled out of the ground. Astonishingly, it was a lord monster of level 10 or above. Lin You had just approached one of the formations less than 500 kilometers away, when he was blocked by an undead bone dragon that was dozens of meters tall and had magic immunity skills. Name: Corpse Dragon King. Lord, race, undead, level 10, SSS level. Power, 100,000, plus 100,000. Physique, 95,000, plus 95,000. Agility, 95,000, plus 95,000. Spirit, 100,000, plus 100,000. Skills: Sweeping Claw Strike, Death Dragon Flame, Magic Immunity, Twin Corpses. Chaos, all attributes increased by 100%. Introduction: The extremely powerful Corpse Lord is not only powerful, but also has the ability to be immune to magic. It's actually SSS level. Lin Yu was shocked. He didn't expect to encounter a Lord monster of this level here. If it were before, he would probably have to walk around when encountering this kind of monster. But it's different now. He already has enough strength to deal with it. If you are lucky enough to uncover an SSS level national treasure, it will definitely be a sure win deal. Come on, surround it. Seeing that there were no other 10th level lords around, Lin Yu made a decisive decision and immediately issued an order to the army of soldiers. In the blink of an eye, all the teams turned around and began to besiege the Corpse Dragon King under the leadership of the royal family. The Corpse Dragon King, that had just broken out of the ground, roared angrily, flew several ancient tree soldiers away, and suddenly sprayed out a piece of death dragon flame from its mouth. I'll stop it. Qing Gang shouted loudly, roared savagely, and opened the war barrier at the same time, and rushed forward. With a boom, dragon flames exploded on the barrier, knocking him back several meters away. But that's why. The powerful blow that was supposed to instantly kill a group of ordinary soldiers was successfully blocked by him and disappeared into the air in the blink of an eye. When the flower essence behind him saw this, he immediately waved his staff and treated him. Then one tree and one dragon started fighting fiercely in the encirclement. Other royal families and ordinary soldiers were providing long-range support from the side, and the surging attacks instantly submerged the Corpse Dragon King. Even though the Corpse Dragon King had magic immunity skills and was immune to skill damage, he was still unable to fight back from the countless attacks, and many wounds gradually appeared on his body. Roar! Suddenly, the Corpse Dragon King looked up to the sky and roared angrily. The huge body was elusive, and it split into two, splitting into another bone dragon that looked exactly like it, making a total of 2 SSS level Lord monsters. It is its 10th level skill, Twin Corpses. As soon as the bone dragon split apart, it sprayed out dragon flames, burning the row of melee soldiers in front of it into ashes. The main body launched a claw attack, knocked back Qing Gang in front of it with a sweep, and then suddenly flat its wings, and flew into the sky. Whoosh! The giant vines of ivy followed closely, and rushed high into the air to wrap around its body. Get down here! Just hearing the sound of ivy, the vines pulled down hard. In the unwilling roar of the corpse dragon king, it was forcefully pulled back to the ground, and was once again submerged by the plant army. The other bone dragon clone was surrounded by troops led by other royal families. A large number of vines emerged, restricting its movement and preventing it from escaping. Seeing that the effect of the savage roar had passed, Lin You immediately gathered the power of the rules and activated it again. Then he stepped into the dragon flame zone and triggered the phantom walker effect through the corpse dragon king's attack, and phantom clones exactly like him appeared. It's just right. I can test the effect on you. Lin You smiled slightly, and the split phantoms immediately burst out with the power of rules, launching brutal roars one after another. Lin You took a look and found that just as he had guessed, every time Savage Roar was activated, the duration of the state would be refreshed to 30 seconds. That is to say, as long as he continues to be attacked, and the Phantom Walker effect is triggered, he can maintain his Savage Roar indefinitely. Although it is a bit suspected of self-abuse, the overall improvement to his plant army is immeasurable. Roar! An unwilling roar sounded in the surging grey death energy. In less than 2 minutes, the SSS-level corpse dragon king collapsed to the ground under the attack of the plant army, splashing large amounts of smoke and dust. Kill the 10th level lord monster, and obtain 100 million mana. A cold reminder sounded in Lin Yu's mind. The next second, the energy in the corpse of the corpse dragon king gathered together, and turned into 10 rule fragments, and 3 shining treasures. Well done. Lin Yu praised with a smile on his face. He didn't attack just now. He just relied on the blessing of infinite savage roar to easily kill the SSS level lord monster. This would have been unimaginable before he left for the living world, but now he has done it. Shadowless Phantom Walker is really powerful, when paired with other skills certainly. Part of the reason is that he now possesses 8 fragments of the Godhead, and his royal attributes are not far different from those of SSS level lord monsters. 10 against 1. It's still very easy. After thinking about it, he teleported to the corpse of the corpse dragon king, put away the 10 rule fragments, and then looked at the 3 treasures. A 10th level token, a blood-colored crystal, and a square piece of golden jade, national treasure. Lin Yu was shocked and blurted out the words, national treasure. Unexpectedly, the first SSS level lord monster he killed turned out to be a national treasure. You must know that this is a national treasure, with the highest SSS level. Overjoyed, he immediately picked up the jade and checked its properties. The treasure of the country, magic immunity, item level, SSS level, territory effect, immune to 10% of skill damage. When the total amount of damage absorbed exceeds the mental attribute, you will gain a magic immunity shield, and be immune to all skill attacks at the current level, and below for 5 seconds. National effect, resource regeneration speed plus 94%. Faith acquisition plus 100%. Introduction. The most important treasure of the country can be used on the country it is in charge of to obtain additional bonuses. Only one can be effective at the same time. What a powerful defensive national treasure. Even though the group immunity is 10% of skill damage, it also comes with a triggered magic immunity shield, which is equivalent to having an additional skill. To know the effect of the national treasure will affect the lord and all units at the same time. The overall damage reduction is 10%, which can be said to greatly increase the survivability of the troops. If he had had this national treasure when fighting the 2 guys from the Realm Alliance before, he wouldn't even need to use too many trump cards to easily resist the combined attack of light and darkness. More importantly, the SSS level national treasure's blessing to the principality is also very terrifying. Resource recovery and faith acquisition are almost doubled, which is much better than what he is using now. Is this the effect of the highest grade national treasure? It is indeed much stronger than expected. If you sell it, you will probably get a lot of rule fragments certainly. Lin Yu wouldn't be so stupid. After finally getting a top-notch treasure that I can use, I naturally have to keep it for myself. He put the things into his personal space, and then looked at the other 2 things. Needless to say, the unit token is the undead corpse dragon king, which is good for exchanging resources with the undead king, but the last blood-colored crystal made him a little surprised. Name, Dragon Core, Grade, Rare, Use Level, Level 10. Effect, permanently increases the power of breath skills by 25%. It can be used by dragons of level 10 and below. It cannot be superimposed. It's actually a prop used by soldiers. Looking at the information in front of him, Lin Yu couldn't help but be surprised. The effect of increasing the power of breath skills by 25% is a bit too strong. It is truly a 10th level rare item. It's a pity that his only dragon type is a rare type, otherwise, he he would have to use his mutation ability to mutate an emerald green dragon royal family, and then use this prop on it, which would definitely be a huge improvement. Anyway, this prop can only be used below level 10. He didn't keep it, but directly called the largest Emerald Dragon King, and gave it the Dragon Core to use. Would you like to use Dragon Core against the Jade Dragon King? Use. With a response, the crystal in Lin Yu's hand turned into a red light, and merged into the body of the Emerald Dragon King. Then I clicked on the attribute interface, and took a look, and the skill description had indeed changed. Death Breath, active, explode the power of nature. Spit out death breath full of destructive energy in a straight line ahead, causing 150% spiritual damage to enemies within the range. Originally, the damage ratio of the Emerald Dragon King's death breath was 120%. After absorbing the core, it just reached 150%, which is a good improvement. If he could take this opportunity to get a few more dragon cores, he might be able to create a very powerful dragon army. Let's go. Keep going. After getting up and briefly cleaning the battlefield, Lin You put away the plant army, and continued to rush towards the formation base. And not long after he left, two sneaky figures slowly appeared from the death aura on the side, looking at the direction in which he disappeared with frightened expressions. Did you just see it? One of them said tremblingly. Yeah. The other person nodded silently, his voice also trembling. To kill an SSS level Lord monster in more than a minute, this strength is a bit too abnormal. I'm afraid even those with 9 fragments of Godhead can't do it, right? More than that, that corpse Dragon King has magic immunity skills, and even 9 fragments of his Godhead may not be able to defeat him. Fortunately, I have the ability to hide my aura. Otherwise, if that guy finds out, neither of us will be able to escape. We can't stay here any longer. Let's leave first. The 10th level lords of these two realm alliances originally wanted to use their death energy to cover up their auras, and carry out sneak attacks on those who opposed the alliance. The result was unexpected. He actually encountered a monster like Lin You, especially when I saw him easily defeating an SSS level Lord monster. I was even more frightened. He didn't dare to stay, so he immediately ran away in panic, as if he would be in danger if he stayed for a second longer. At the same time, the entire formation of the dead shrouded in death aura was filled with the sounds of fighting and the roars of lords and soldiers. The armies of both sides guarded both ends of the formation, and fought fiercely around each formation base. Lin You had just teleported to one of the nearest formation bases, when he discovered that several 11th level lords had gathered here, and were violently colliding in the center. Beside them, there were also a large number of 10th level lords, who had arrived, leading an army of soldiers to launch another attack. Charge! Kill them all back! Quick! Gather the fire formation base quickly! Treatment! Healing! Come here and help! Hold them off! The whole scene was chaotic, and shouting continued. The anti-alliance was advancing crazily towards the huge whirlpool, surrounded by death in the distance. The Realm Alliance constantly blocked their attacks, and interfered with them. It was an offensive and defensive battle, surrounding the base of the formation. And to Lin Yu's expectation, in addition to the people from the Realm Alliance, there were many 10th level Lord monsters, and large swaths of surging undead monsters surrounding the death energy vortex, all over the sky and the earth. Although the anti-alliance camp's offensive was swift and violent, it was still blocked by the opponent. It was impossible to get even half an inch closer to the whirlpool, let alone destroy it. Haha, it's useless. You can't break this place. Go back to your realm quickly. Go on. Tear all those guys' troops into pieces. The Realm Alliance defended the high ground, and together with the undead monsters, they frantically attacked the anti-alliance army. The two sides fought fiercely near the vortex of death. With the addition of monsters, the Realm Alliance turned to the offensive, and the attacks were extremely ferocious. There were faint signs that they could not hold on. This great formation set up by the Great Emperor was truly terrifying. He can even give orders to monsters. However, Lin You did not rush to support immediately. Instead, he restrained his aura, quietly walked around to the rear of the Realm Alliance, and secretly observed the 10th level lords, who kept coming. Thanks to this chaos, he finally got rid of those annoying guys, and had his hands free. Next, it's his hunting time. Lin Yu's eyes narrowed. An array of light burst out in his eyes. Just at this moment, two figures hurried over from a distance. Hurry, it's right in front. Let's go over to support. How dare you rush directly into our ghost world? This time we must make sure that the anti-alliance guys never come back. Amid the surging death energy, the two gray-skinned undead lords kept teleporting, moving quickly towards the fighting position while cursing at the same time. They are not strong. One only has 2 fragments of the Godhead, and the other has 3 fragments. Originally, based on their strength, they basically stayed behind to provide support. But now that they have the assistance of the Death Energy Formation, and this is behind the Realm Alliance, high-level lords will pass by at any time, so they immediately feel bold and plan to go to the battlefield to see if they can pick up the slack. In just a blink of an eye, the two of them had teleported to the sky above a bone burial ground and could already vaguely see the fierce battle in the distance. Careful. Unexpectedly, at this time, the expression of the elemental lord with 3 fragments of his godhead suddenly changed. A defensive shield appeared around him, and he rushed out. The next second, there was a loud bang. Giant vines soared into the sky, immediately surrounding the other beast-type lord, who didn't react. They are anti-alliance people. How brave you are to come to the rear of our army. The 2 people who were isolated screamed in shock, tearing open the space and trying to escape from here. Void space. But at this moment, a cold voice sounded. Just when the beast lord was about to escape into the void, an invisible wave appeared, covering his entire body and interrupting his space shuttle. Then Lin You, who was hiding aside, appeared and surrounded him with the royal family and an army of plants. However, it was precisely because of the shouts of the 2 people that they finally attracted the attention of the 10th level lords of other realm alliances. Immediately, several old kings with more than 8 godhead fragments came after hearing the news. If you dare to come to our rear and take action, you will die. The beast lord did not panic at all. With a wave of his hand, a large number of beast-like soldiers and giant dragons appeared in front of him. Lingxi, lead your team to stop them. Lin Yu also knew that time was running out. With an order, Lingxi, Qinggong and Cannon quickly left the team and led 3 teams to meet the coming lords. Feeling the aura emanating from Lingxi and the others, the beast lord's expression suddenly changed. The auras of these soldiers were actually more terrifying than those lords with 7 or 8 godhead fragments he had seen escape. This was his only thought at this time, and he finally knew what kind of monster he had encountered. Almost without hesitation, he put his troops in front of Lin Yu, unleashed all his strength and turned around to run away. However, just as he was about to escape from the void space, red dandelion suddenly appeared in front of him. Like a bloody red cloud, it surrounded his whole body and shocked him. Boom! A violent sound exploded in the sky. The beast lord, who couldn't avoid him, was like a piece of rag, vomiting blood and flying out. With just one blow, the soul-chasing dandelion was blown to pieces. But after all, he was a 10th level lord, and he basically had life-saving means. Even though he was seriously injured, he still turned over in the air and rushed out of the void space. Then there was a loud noise, and the void space collapsed, almost burying him in the void. Court death. When several old kings of the Realm Alliance in the distance saw this scene, they immediately shouted in shock and immediately sped up. However, at this moment, the terrifying pressure came. Lingxi and Qinggong appeared with their team, and the King's Majesty suppressed them, even interrupting their teleportation. Qinggong directly launched a savage roar, entered an explosive state, and rushed toward them. The cannon was hidden aside, and the black muzzle was pointed at them. These soldiers are not good, it's that guy. With just one glance, several old kings recognized Lingxi and Qinggong, and their expressions changed. When they looked into the distance again, it was discovered that the beast lord had already bitten a huge man-eating flower in his mouth. The newly gathered power of rules was about to launch the space shuttle, but it was swallowed by the devouring skill of swallowing heaven. With a scream, he fell from the sky. The strength gap is too big. There is a 60% difference in attributes between 2 pieces of Godhead and 8 pieces of Godhead. If you are careful, you can use all your means from the beginning, use all your life-saving skills, and escape through space. But because of the large formation, and being at the rear of his own team, he took it lightly, which gave Lin Yu an opportunity. Puff! The sound of flesh being pierced was heard. The ivy vines and the Shad Alice dagger appeared almost at the same time, piercing the beast lord's throat and heart, exploding a cloud of blood mist. Congratulations! You successfully killed the 10th level lord, and obtained 3.6 billion mana. The prompt sounded, and a fragment of the godhead shining with a colorful halo slowly rose into the sky, illuminating the surrounding area instantly. Lin Yu was overjoyed and immediately rushed forward to take it in his hand, ready to fuse it directly. Unexpectedly, a sudden change occurred. Bai! Put down the fragments of your godhead, and leave your whole body. A sound like thunder exploded in Lin Yu's ears, causing him to almost lose the fragment of his godhead in his hand. Immediately afterwards, the terrifying pressure came, and he was pushed to the ground with almost no resistance, his body sinking deeply into the soil. Level 11. Lin Yu was shocked. I didn't expect that it would attract existences of this level. Only a strong person at this level can make him have no ability to resist and easily suppress him by relying only on coercion. He raised his head with difficulty, and sure enough he found a middle-aged man with a stern face, appearing in the sky at some point, looking down at him with indifferent eyes. Careless. The rear of the Realm Alliance is indeed not something you can come to casually. Lin Yu was frightened in his heart, and he was anxiously thinking about countermeasures while resisting the pressure. But no matter how hard he struggled, he couldn't resist the pressure of the opponent's momentum. He could only watch the opponent slowly fall to the ground and come to him. The strength gap is too big. You are so courageous that you dare to go deep behind us alone and kill our people. The cold voice reached Lin Yu's ears, making him shudder. When the old kings who were blocked by the royal family saw this, they immediately shouted loudly, "Sir, he is one of the strongest 10th orders on the anti-alliance side. We must not let him go back alive." "Oh, is there such a thing?" The man glanced at Lin Yu in surprise. In his originally calm eyes, a trace of actual murderous intent gradually emerged. Not good. Feeling this killing intent, Lin Yu's expression changed wildly. Finally, he no longer held back, and a wave of waves that did not belong to this world enveloped him, and it actually shook away the opponent's pressure. It is his latest ability to understand the law of time. Lin Yu also didn't expect that the power of this law of time would be so strong that it could even compete with the pressure of the 11th level. But he didn't have the time to think about that right now. Just teleport, escape through space, and recall all troops to space at the same time. The man let out a sigh, with a surprised expression on his face. A 10th level lord was able to break through his space blockade and teleport away. If such potential is allowed to rise to the 11th level, will it still be possible to grow? This threat must not be allowed to remain. After thinking about it, he stretched out his arm, and a destructive force exploded in the direction of Lin Yu's escape. In an instant, the space shattered. Lin Yu, who was in the space passage, vomited blood and flew out. Just one blow almost shattered his internal organs. He didn't dare to stop at all, and relied on his last bit of will to escape through space again. Want to escape? The man's face darkened. If someone knew that a 10th level lord had escaped from him, wouldn't he become the laughingstock of all 11th level lords? Without stopping at all, he disappeared in a flash. When he reappeared, he was already in front of Lin Yu, who was hundreds of kilometers away, and blocked his way. "I told you, you can't escape." The cold voice, accompanied by a vast force, instantly blocked all Lin Yu's paths. Lin Yu, who had just escaped from the space, had no time to think about it. He gritted his teeth and the forest sage appeared next to him. Buzz. The peaceful realm swings open, and all attacks within a 1-kilometer radius are ineffective. The attacks that enveloped the other party's attacks also completely dissipated, and turned into nothingness in an instant. The man obviously didn't expect that he had such means, and he paused slightly. Take this opportunity. Lin Yu escaped into the void again and fled towards the battlefield. However, just as he teleported hundreds of kilometers away, terrifying wind blades had already cut through the space, spread all over the world, and shot towards him from all directions. Elemental wind blade cutting. There was no time to summon the forest sage, so Lin Yu gritted his teeth and unleashed his full power, maxing out his physical attributes instantly. Then activate all the effects of the 3-piece attack and defense conversion set, slamming into the direction where the attack is weakest. Puff. The sound of flesh being cut was heard. Under the cuts of the wind blades, the defense he was proud of was like a thin layer of paper, and there were a large number of bone-deep wounds on his body. The severe pain made him almost faint, but it was this moment that exploded. He finally managed to break away from the wind blade, and came outside again. "You can't kill me." He turned around, his voice trembling, but a victorious smile appeared on his lips. Then he teleported away and suddenly appeared in the sky where the armies of both sides were fighting. Damn it, the man cursed secretly, obviously not expecting Lin Yu to have so many life-saving means. After chasing and escaping, they had unknowingly arrived at the place where the two armies were fighting. As soon as he was about to give chase, he was immediately targeted by an 11th level lord from the anti-alliance side, who immediately blocked his way. "Hey, isn't this King Gale? Why is he so promising that he is actually chasing a 10th level lord?" The person who came was obviously acquainted with Li Feng, and his name was immediately revealed. Lin Yu, who fled back to the anti-alliance team, narrowed his eyes and secretly remembered the word, Gale Wind, in his heart. At the same time, he was extremely happy in his heart. Fortunately, he didn't go too deep into the rear of the Realm Alliance. Otherwise, no matter how many ways he uses to save his life, he will not be able to escape from the 11th level lord. This was also his first time to personally experience the power of the 11th level. Even though his strength is at the top among the 10th level, when facing the 11th level strong man, he is still like an ant with no ability to resist at all strength. He needs more strength. Lin Yu secretly clenched his fists. The severe pain radiating from his body not only did not make him confused, but also made him feel unusually energetic. He glanced at the battle scene below where there were shouts of killing, and without stopping, he covered his wounds and quickly evacuated away from the battlefield. It wasn't until no one was around to confirm that it was safe that he summoned the royal family to protect him, started emergency treatment on the spot, and at the same time took out the piece of the godhead he had just obtained. Can I fuse the fragments of the godhead? Once the fusion is immutable, decide with caution. Fusion. In response, the fragment of the godhead in his hands suddenly burst into dazzling light, and gradually integrated into his body. Then, a huge amount of energy surged throughout his body, speeding up the recovery of his injuries. The power of rules, which was originally consumed by the use of the law of time and various burst skills, has also recovered some, and he can finally use healing skills. The ninth block, Lin You murmured to himself, feeling the increase in strength, his eyes filled with joy. Although the process of obtaining this fragment of godhead was very thrilling, the result was still good. Next, there was only one last fragment of the godhead left, and he could start preparing to upgrade to the 11th level. But this last piece may not be easy to obtain. On the battlefield, the old kings basically recognized him, and would never let him kill the weaker kings so easily. He didn't dare to go back to the rear of the Realm Alliance. Who knows if he would encounter an 11th level powerhouse again. If one of them is bad, his life will be lost. He was lucky today. The other party didn't take him as an ant seriously, so he was able to escape. But he may not be so lucky next time, so it's better to be careful. After thinking about it, I casually clicked on the personal interface. Name, Lin You. Lord, race, human, level 10, 9/10. Strength, 68,204, plus 61,384. Physique, 100,000, plus 106,000. Agility, 68,204, plus 61,384. Spirit, 87,000, plus 78,300. Basic skills, double mutation, power of rules, space shuttle, rule transformation, law of time, power of godhead, all attributes plus 90%. Racial talent, physical fitness plus 16%, recovery speed plus 16%. Introduction. The Lord attribute interface records the specific strength and various skills of the Lord, which can be unlocked by 10th level lords. He has obtained nearly 1,000 rule fragments in the past 2 days, which has improved his basic attributes a lot. With his current strength, even if he is not strengthened to full strength, with the additional blessing of Savage Roar, and the effect of the offensive and defensive conversion suit, he is not inferior to the top 10th level lords in the 10 major realms. What's more, he still has 10 royal families with similar attributes to his own, and now basically none of the 10th level can pose a threat to him. Boom! Just as he was thinking about it, a loud noise suddenly came from the distance. Under the fierce attack of the anti-alliance, those large formations formed by the gathering of death energy finally began to collapse one after another. It seems that this formation will be breached soon, Ling Xi said while performing a healing technique. This time the emperors must be determined to invade the hinterland of the Realm Alliance. We must seize the time to heal. After saying that, Lin You calmed down and began to heal his injuries with all his strength over time. The battle between the two camps gradually reached a fierce stage. Rush, kill. The loud shouts of killing echoed throughout the ghost world. After half a day of fighting, the anti-alliance side finally used their numerical advantage to destroy the last death vortex. Just hearing a loud bang, the formation built by more than a dozen emperors in the ghost world was shattered and completely turned into nothingness. The death aura that was originally so strong that it almost obscured his vision quickly dissipated and turned into the original light mist. Everywhere he looked, there were corpses of soldiers and undead monsters, almost piled up in mountains. The Realm Alliance army hidden in the death aura was also revealed. Retreat. The Realm Alliance obviously did not expect that the formation would be breached so quickly. Under the orders of several leading emperors, they immediately gave up the entrance to the Ghost Realm, and hurriedly retreated towards the next realm. Chase. Kill them all. We must not let them escape. Naturally, the anti-alliance side would not let go of this opportunity to pursue the victory, and immediately led an army of troops to pursue them. While fighting fiercely with the Realm Alliance, they pushed deeper into the realm without any intention of stopping. It can be said, this battle was definitely the longest ever fought by either side. Lin You followed the team, going back and forth, and there were countless melees with the Realm Alliance, even from day to night, and from night to day, until the afternoon of the third day. Finally, through the collective space crossing of the great emperors, they caught up with the Realm Alliance, and chased them to a huge space passage at the end of the ghost world. At the end of the space passage connecting heaven and earth, pitch-black mountain peaks were vaguely visible, and many eerie towers and castles were built beside them. They glowed red under the light of a blood moon. In the sky, there are countless figures flying back and forth, densely packed. Even though there are several layers of space barriers, you can feel an extremely strong sense of oppression, which is many times stronger than the ordinary realm. One of the 10 major realms, demonic world. After nearly half a year of fighting, they finally arrived at the hinterland of the Realm Alliance, and could already see the demonic realm from a distance through the space barrier. Even the realm around the demonic realm has been shrouded in demonic energy at this time, turning into a black sky vertical to the periphery of the realm, covering the demonic realm and the surrounding realms. It also completely isolates them. Boom! With a loud noise, the attacks of several anti-alliance emperors fell on the sky curtain, causing violent ripples. However, they were unable to break the sky curtain, and were instead pushed back by a huge force. It's useless. You can't break through this layer of protection. Everyone obeys the order and retreats into the protective area. The great emperors of the Realm Alliance shouted out, and led the Alliance army directly through the sky, and into the demonic realm without any hindrance. The anti-Alliance side's pursuit did not end here, and all stopped outside the sky. This is a regular protection built by connecting the demonic realm and all surrounding realms. It seems that the guys in the demonic realm have been prepared for it. The Dragon King stood in the void, staring at this barrier with solemn eyes. I have no choice but to give an order to the team below. Everyone from all walks of life must obey orders and repair in place and stand by. Advancing into the hinterland of the Realm Alliance was their original plan. Now that the plan has been achieved, there is no need to rush into the demonic realm. It's a good time to take this opportunity to take a rest, and wait until you find a way to break through the protection before continuing the attack. By the way, you can also go to another battlefield to help and push the team outside the Eternal World. When both sides of the battlefield attack at the same time, no matter how tenacious the Realm Alliance is, they will not be able to do anything at the same time soon. Under the alliance of the Great Emperors, the war camp was moved directly outside the canopy and began to be repaired. Lin You stood in the team with a look of regret. After fighting for several days, he still couldn't get the last fragment of his godhead. Sure enough, even in a realm battle, it is not easy to kill the 10th level lord on the opposite side. Seeing the Realm Alliance's complete retreat, he had no choice but to rush back towards the war camp with the other kings. Have you heard? There seems to be someone dead over there at level 11. What Lin You didn't expect was that as soon as he returned to the camp, he suddenly heard several kings gathering together and talking in low voices. I also heard that it seems that the king of the primitive world, who had just upgraded to the 11th level, was killed by 2 11th level sneak attacks from the Realm Alliance. There were more than 2. I was nearby just now, and saw with my own eyes 7 or 8 level 11s attacking at the same time before I succeeded. Hiss, 7 or 8 11th level attacks at the same time. Isn't this too exaggerated? It's not an exaggeration. At that time, the king was just supporting from the rear. Who would have thought that those 11th orders were so crazy that they dared to launch a sneak attack? In the end, several of our 11th orders were seriously injured, and only then did we save that piece of land godhead. Although the kings had tried to lower their voices as much as possible, Lin You, who was walking aside, could still hear them very clearly, and his expression suddenly changed. The old king who was promoted to the 11th level before in their realm is dead, and he was still killed by 7 or 8 11th level sneak attacks. This news was completely beyond his expectation. Although some people from the 10th, 11th and even 12th level would die at the beginning of the war, he was still very shocked when it happened to them in the primitive world. Even Ji Xing and others on the side looked shocked and surprised. Did it really happen? King Yuo whispered, his expression a little heavy, as if he had expected this to happen. There is no way. People who have just reached the 11th level are easily targeted. They are already crazy about reaching the emperor level. Ji Xing followed up and said, it's just a pity that the king couldn't escape the disaster in the end. King Liu Huo couldn't help but sigh. Lin You, who was standing next to him, was horrified, because the persistence of those 11th level lords and their godhood was far beyond his imagination. The news that the old king had upgraded to the 11th level had only spread a few days ago, and he was immediately targeted by so many 11th levels, even risking serious damage and rushing to their rear for a sneak attack. He could almost imagine it. What kind of dangers will he face after he reaches the 11th level? No wonder there are so many old kings with 9 godhead fragments who have been reluctant to upgrade. Even if they have the 10th fragment, they still keep it. As expected, not everyone can take this road to the emperor level. That's right, Lin You. At this time, Ji Xing suddenly looked back. With your strength, you should be able to rise to the 11th level soon, right? Do you plan to rise directly? As soon as these words came out, several kings under the Xinyao Empire couldn't help but look at Lin You. They had already heard about the news that Emperor Xinyao wanted to support the Principality of Xinyu, so they were not surprised that Lin You could touch the threshold of the 11th level so quickly. What concerned them most was whether Lin You would rise to the 11th level in the near future, or whether he would dare to rise. After all, even if Emperor Xinyao could protect him for a while, he could not protect him for the rest of his life. The new lord, who has just been promoted to the 11th level, will definitely be targeted by the old lords. In addition, now that something like this has happened, it has made people even more panicked, and they dare not act rashly. It depends on the situation. Lin You laughed dryly. To be honest, if it had been before, he would have answered yes without hesitation, but it's different now, especially after hearing the news of the old king's death with his own ears. He knew that the 11th level was not as simple as he thought. As the level closest to the Emperor level, the intensity of the competitive environment is absolutely unimaginable, because as long as they take one more step, they can truly stand at the top of the realm and become a ruler-like existence. It is difficult for the newly promoted 11th level lord to gain a foothold. Lin You wanted to accumulate more strength before rising up, but there was not much time left for him in this world. The other kings didn't know yet that reincarnation was about to begin, but he did. Therefore, he must improve his strength as much as possible. Even if he faces various dangers, he can only bite the bullet and rush forward. It seems you have to make more preparations. Lin You thought silently in his heart. After saying goodbye to several kings, he returned to his territory through cross-border teleportation. He replaced the SSS-level magic immunity secret treasure he had obtained before, and then went to the world tree to use his mutation ability to replenish the troops that had been lost in the past few days of fighting. While thinking about his next plan, there is no doubt about it, upgrading to level 11 is imperative, because only in this way can he have the qualifications to become an emperor. But before that, he still had to make some preparations. The most important of them are the rule fragments. As long as he accumulates enough rule fragments before upgrading, he can directly enhance his attributes to a very high level after upgrading. Coupled with the complete godhead obtained before, it is completely possible to have extremely strong strength. As long as you don't encounter an 11th level person with more than 5 pieces of complete godhead, there shouldn't be many problems. Even if they encounter one, with the various life-saving skills of the royal family and the law of time, there is still no problem in escaping, especially the law of time. He already has such power at the 10th level, and he will definitely become stronger after reaching the 11th level. It can also be regarded as an unexpected way to save his life. After thinking about this, Lin You suddenly had a direction. No more wasting time. Calm down and start mutating the troops. Time flies. In a blink of an eye, it was the next morning. Due to the obstruction of the sky curtain, the anti-alliance camp had to temporarily suspend the war and repair, waiting for the emperors to successfully break through the sky curtain. During this period, the battlefield led by the Holy Emperor, on the other side, also received good news one after another, and finally advanced outside the eternal world this morning, but was also blocked by a defensive sky. And very strangely, from the beginning to the end, the existence that was suppressed below the monster plane did not appear, as if it had disappeared out of thin air, which made Lin You feel a little confused. But he didn't have to wait long to wonder. He was interrupted by a prompt that resounded throughout the entire Wanji continent. Lords, please note that a large number of dimensional spaces appear at the junction of realms. Lords and monsters are fully invaded. Please go immediately to stop the invasion and destroy the space door. Kill monsters or destroy space gates to obtain various generous upgrade rewards, depending on the level of the space gate. A large number of powerful monsters will appear in this invasion, and the risk factor is extremely high. Please be careful. The sudden prompt was accompanied by a loud noise. At the junction of the 10,000 Realms continent and the monster plane, huge space passages suddenly opened. A large number of terrifying monsters emerged from it. Even on the ground, there were cracks like abyss, and monsters continued to emerge from them, spreading rapidly towards all major realms. Lord-level monsters that are rarely seen in normal times can be seen everywhere, and begin to wreak havoc at the junction, spreading like a plague. When Lin You followed the other kings to the border between the primitive world and the monster plane, the entire central area was already occupied by monsters, and it was completely dark as far as the eye could see. They should all be monsters raised in the chaotic void outside the Wanji continent. I didn't expect there to be so many, a well-informed old king exclaimed. Beyond the 10,000 Realms continent is the endless chaotic void. The monsters evolved from the infection of the aura of chaos and are almost everywhere in the entire chaos. Therefore, there are often some monsters that cross the space barrier and break into the 10,000 Worlds continent by chance, but that is only a small part. But now, the space barrier is directly opened, forming secondary spaces connecting the 10,000 Worlds continent, allowing those monsters to rush in crazily. Moreover, because these monsters were born in the void of chaos, their levels are generally above a level, and SSS levels are everywhere. If the space is not destroyed in time, it may cause disaster. But with so many lords and monsters, is this not an opportunity for them? In particular, the system prompt also said that destroying the secondary space can obtain rewards. This is a rare opportunity. It can almost be said to be a large-scale mission, that rarely appears after the cancellation of 10,000 Realms battlefield, especially Lin You. By killing the Lord Monster, he can absorb its energy and use it to speed up the reproduction of the original universe and increase the number of fruits of faith on the world tree. Moreover, when you kill the Lord Monster, you will also get rule fragments dropped. This is definitely a good time for him to accumulate a lot of rule fragments. Aha! Just thinking about it, the space on the side suddenly distorted, and the two great emperors Tianqiong and Chongfeng who were responsible for guarding the realm appeared. The teleportation in the main border city has been reopened. Everyone can directly teleport to the main city to eliminate monsters. A loud voice came from the mouth of the Sky Emperor. The king's eyes lit up when they heard this. The main border city is not far from here. If the low-level lords can also teleport here, it will save them a lot of effort in eliminating low-level monsters. Then, Emperor Chongfeng said in a calm voice, "These dimensional spaces are different from space cracks and already have the prototype of independent spaces. If you want to destroy it, you must go deep in and destroy the core of space. These spaces not only have an entrance here, but are also connected to other realms. You must be careful when entering." After saying that, he disappeared from the spot together with the Sky Emperor and continued to explore the depths. Lin You in the crowd was shocked by the words he left behind. These spaces are actually connected to other realms. If this is the case, then there will probably be another chaotic war. After all, people from the Realm Alliance can also enter it. These secondary spaces are like dungeons filled with lords and monsters. Only by going deep in and destroying the core can you get the reward of system certification. This is a battle that tests the overall strength of all the lords. Lin Yu secretly clenched his fists. This is his opportunity to accumulate a large number of rule fragments and speed up the reproduction of the original universe. I don't know how to distinguish these large and small space doors. After thinking about it, he couldn't help but look at those space doors. As if to respond to his doubts, information interfaces suddenly appeared in front of him, marking all the space gates with levels. There are levels from the 6th to the 12th level, and the closer to the junction center, the higher the level. Several of them close to the center are clearly space gates representing the 10th level, and a large number of 10th level lord monsters emerge from them. Let's go. First get rid of those high-level monsters outside. Immediately, a king fell to the ground and began to summon troops to destroy the monsters. There are too many monsters outside the space gate. If you don't get rid of them, there is no way to rush in. Presumably the lords of other realms are also hurrying to clear it out, and they must rush in before them. We're here to help too. Some weak kings had no intention of entering the space, but chose to stay outside and work together to kill the lord monsters that rushed out. After Lin Yu sent a message to the Principality channel, he chose an uninhabited direction and landed on the ground. With a wave of his hand, he summoned the plant army to his side. Roar! When the 10th level monsters, who rushed out of the space gate, noticed them, they immediately roared and turned around and rushed toward them. At a glance, there are 2 S level and 1 SS level lord monsters inside. So many lord monsters actually appeared at the same time. This was absolutely unimaginable before, and it also made Lin Yu energetic. Be careful. There are a lot of lord monsters this time, he said to several royal families. It's just a lord monster. Master, just leave it to us. Tunton, who usually boasts the most, immediately replied. Then the 9 royal families other than the forest sage led their own teams and rushed towards the rushing monster group from all directions. Haha, last time, there were only 1 or 2 lords and monsters who couldn't tell the difference. Let's see who can kill more this time, Tun Tian said extremely arrogantly. Cannon, let's compete. This time I will convince you all. Mushroom Demon King, then I won't let my brothers and sisters do it. King Tang, the tone of the little girl's film is quite good. Wuing, in terms of speed, no one can be faster than me. Qing Gang, I'm here to spend some time with you guys. Before the fight even started, the royal family started their daily bickering. Only the 2 girls, Lingxi, who was the calmest, and Zihen, who was withdrawn, did not speak, shaking their heads and looking at them. Kong Ming, who was floating in the air, led the lantern grass team to silently follow them, ready to provide support at any time. In the blink of an eye, under the leadership of the royal family, the plant army collided with the 5 lord monsters and fought fiercely outside the space gate. Today's royal family is basically capable of taking on SS level lord monsters, except for the SS level rock giant. There was basically no threat to them, seeing that the rock giant was blocked by Qing Gang's savage roar, and the surrounding area fell into a melee. Lin Yu was free and couldn't help but look in the direction of the original evil world next to him. Because of the fusion of realms, there is basically no barrier between their original realm and the original evil realm. From a distance, you can even see many former evil kings appearing at the boundary of the realm, also killing monsters. The target was surprisingly the same as them, the 10th level space gates close to the central area. Speed up, we must not let those guys from the original evil world get the lead. The other kings also discovered this situation, and their expressions suddenly became gloomy. The hatred between them and the original evil world will not disappear just because they belong to the same alliance. After all, those guys sent people to sneak into their realm and wanted to destroy their foundation. If it weren't for the sudden rise of the realm alliance, they would have probably fought with the original evil realm long ago. Do they still have to wait until now? Now that the enemies meet, they are naturally extremely jealous, and the atmosphere at the junction of the entire realm suddenly becomes tense. Destroy these monsters quickly, and we must enter the space before the primitive world. Several kings of the original evil realm shouted loudly, and their troops turned into a tide, fighting in a melee with the roaring monsters that rushed up. Some even start the explosion directly to speed up the advancement. No, look over there. Suddenly, a cry of surprise came from the original evil team. A king pointed to a corner on the other side of the primitive world, his face full of shock. Others looked in the direction he pointed and found that among the team in the primitive world, a figure had unknowingly advanced to a position less than 2 kilometers away from the space gate. The cleared space behind him was filled with corpses of Lord monsters. In less than half an hour, more than a dozen Lord monsters had been killed. What a speed! These are all Lord monsters above a level. How did he do that? No, he's going to beat me to it. People in the original evil world kept exclaiming. They were all shocked by the scene in front of them, and their expressions also changed at the same time. Needless to say, the one who can advance at such a fast speed is naturally Lin You, who is surrounded by royal troops. Just when Yuan Shaji and others were stunned, another S-class Lord Monster fell to the attack of the royal family. Kill the 10th level Lord Monster, and obtain 100 million points of magic energy. A reminder sounded in Lin Yu's mind. The corpse of the fallen Lord Monster also lit up with dazzling lights, and 8 rule fragments gradually came into view. Apart from that, there is nothing else. Yes, the explosion rate of these Lord monsters from outside the Chaos realm is surprisingly low. After killing so many people, he only got a level national treasure and a few unused low-level resources. However, there is no shortage of rule fragments, and they are dropped according to level. More than a dozen Lord monsters directly provided him with more than 140 rule fragments, which was almost as much as he could gain in half a day in his original space. Even the number of embryos of the fruit of faith on the world tree has increased from the original 500 to 516. Almost every time a Lord monster is killed, one will be added. You know, it's only half an hour. This increase far exceeded his expectations, and he couldn't help but get excited. If he continues at this pace, it won't be long before he can accumulate a large number of rule fragments and lay a solid foundation for upgrading to the 11th level. Ouch! Just as he was thinking about it, another unwilling roar sounded. An SS-level octopus beast fell under the group fight of the royal family and soldiers, and finally completely opened the passage into one of the space gates. The 7th level hunting team is missing a group attack. Please come and hunt the Lord Monster together. 8th level angel type auxiliary treatment. All level sacred objects and secret treasures. Take them away if necessary. Are there any newcomers to the 6th level who are out there picking up leaks? The 9th level space gate attack team. Come to the defense system with all SSS level sacred objects and secret treasures. Report your strength and join the team. Less than an hour. Outside the city gate of Angel Wings, the main city on the border of the primitive world, a large number of lords from various countries have gathered, shouting loudly there. Originally, due to the relationship between the camp war and the fusion of all realms, the main city had gradually become deserted, and not many people came to confront the original evil realm. However, with the advent of monster invasion, the teleportation was opened again, which gave the main border city a new lease of life, turning it into a place second only to the war camp in terms of liveliness. Everywhere he looked, there were figures coming and going. Some were riding land mounts on the plains, while others were riding flying mounts and flying high into the sky. They all hurried to the junction of the realm and the monster plane, hoping to seize monster resources as soon as possible. Some even directly formed attack teams, preparing to compete for the rewards of destroying the space gate. This also caused a large number of disputes began to arise at the junction of the primitive world and the original evil world, and the shadow of fighting could be seen everywhere. And at this time, near the center of the monster invasion, after more than half an hour of fighting, Lin You finally led his plant army to open the passage, and plunged into the twisted space gate while other kings watched anxiously. Aha! The light comes on. When Lin You stood still and regained his sight again, He had arrived on a barren land filled with gray aura. Everywhere he looked, there were ferocious monsters running around, forming a dense mass of darkness. At the same time, they were accompanied by roars and roars that made the entire land shake violently. Behind him, there is an illusory twisted space, which is directly connected to the space door he just passed through, and the scene of the primitive world on the opposite side can be vaguely seen. Roar! Before he could look any further, the running Lord monsters spotted them, roared, and rushed towards them with a large group of 10th level monsters. There were even 2 SSS level multi-headed poisonous dragons among them, and their aura was extremely terrifying. Block them. Lin You didn't dare to think too much, and immediately asked the royal family to lead the troops to meet them. After a loud banging noise, the group of extremely ferocious monsters were blocked by the defense line formed by the ancient tree soldiers. Then King Gang's savage roar started, pushing them all back, and they started fighting fiercely in the beast tide. Taking advantage of this opportunity, Lin You finally saw the overall picture of the world. It is a very unstable space that has just been formed. From this space, he even vaguely saw the shadow of the realm. Although it was still just a prototype, there were signs of the change of the sun and the moon in the 4 seasons. He could feel it if he looked carefully, which made him feel shocked. Could it be that these spaces are not as simple as monster spaces? Instead, a new realm is being formed, preparing to replace the 10,000 Realms continent that they are about to reincarnate in. No wonder he made such speculations. In the past 3 years since he came to the 10,000 Realms continent, he has never encountered such a large-scale invasion of monsters, affecting almost all realms. But after the Wanji continent began to merge, various major events occurred frequently. First, there was the collapse of the monster plane, then the unsealing of the living world, and now the monster invasion. When these major events are added up, it is not as simple as a system activity task, but more like self-rescue according to the rules of the 10,000 Worlds continent. Let them destroy these soon-to-be-formed realms based on the situation of the mission. Lin You knew that this guess was outrageous, but that's all he could guess at the moment. Thinking of this, he didn't waste any more time, and began to launch attacks to support the royal family's battle, slowly advancing towards the interior of the space. At the same time, next to a few entrances at the other end of the space, the light lit up, and several teams composed of the top 10th level lords appeared, vigilantly observing the space in front of them. Haha, it seems we are the first to come in. This time we must destroy the space core before them, and get the reward. With our speed, absolutely no one can be faster than us. We have determined the reward for destroying space. Hurry up and set off. Others are probably coming in soon. We have to find the space core quickly. Since it is the core, it should be in the center of this world. As he said that, several people couldn't help but look into the depths of the space. The area shrouded in gray aura, but the next second, their expressions suddenly changed. No, it's a Lord monster. A group of SSS level Lord monsters are rushing over. Compared to Lin You, the luck of these people is obviously not that good. As soon as they passed through the space gate, a dozen large Lord monsters suddenly stared at them in the distance, and more than half of them were SSS level. Things like Lord monsters don't matter if they are small in number. Once the number increases, it is not as simple as resources, but a catastrophe. Several people obviously did not expect that there would be so many Lord monsters in this secondary space, and the level of chaos infection would be so terrifying. He didn't dare to think too much, so he immediately summoned the troops, put up a defensive formation, and faced the ferocious wave of monsters, and started a bloody battle at the entrance. The entrances in other directions also encountered similar situations. As soon as they entered the space, they encountered huge obstacles and the team suffered heavy losses. Even on Lin Yu's side, the situation is not much better. After advancing less than a kilometer, they encountered the impact of the Lord's monster group. Qing Gang, go and stop the 2 one-eyed terrors over there. Cannon, kill the one-eyed priest first. King Tang, hold back those one-eyed cavalry. Shad Alice, following Lin Yu's order, the royal family tried their best to resist the impact of a Cyclops tribe in front of them. That's right, it's the tribe. Lin Yu never expected that, when he reached the foot of a barren mountain, he would be ambushed by a group of monsters. It is different from ordinary monsters. Humanoid monsters like Cyclops possess very high intelligence. This can be seen from the Cyclops army in front of them that is besieging them. Not only do they have cavalry that charge forward, but they also have one-eyed priests and powerful one-eyed terrors who assist in the rear. And the number was close to 30,000, including 5 SSS level Lord monsters, plus a bunch of other levels of Lord monsters, which caught his plant army off guard. Master, the effect of Savage Roar is almost gone. At this time, Qing Gang, who was fighting a fierce battle with the Lord-level one-eyed terror in front, turned around and shouted. Lin You did not dare to hesitate, and activated the Phantom Walker. Under the range attack of the one-eyed priest Poison Rain, he split into phantom clones one by one, and directly launched a savage roar. Continuing the explosive state, then he and these phantom clones burst out with the power of rules, and countless vines shot up into the sky, entangled themselves into a huge green python on the ground, and slammed towards the one-eyed cavalry captain, who was rushing forward. Pound Yuan, Yuan it, pound, % Yuan. Unexpectedly, the one-eyed priest elder behind him suddenly spoke a series of incomprehensible spells. At the same time, he raised the scepter in his hand, and a circle of bloody red light erupted. Roar! In an instant, the eyes of all the Cyclops turned red, and their attacks became more and more fierce. They actually knocked away the giant vine python, and blasted away the ancient tree army in front. Even the killing illusion attached to the soul-chasing dandelion seeds couldn't affect them, as if they suddenly went crazy. This is the innate bloodthirsty skill of the Cyclops clan. It can greatly increase the combat power. You must first get rid of the sacrificial elders, Ling Xi said while attacking. When Lin Yu heard this, he couldn't help but look at the sacrificial elders behind the Cyclops army. That was one of the 5 SSS level Lord monsters. With its blessing, the combat power of the entire Cyclops army was terrifying. Coupled with the attacks of other Lord monsters, even though his plant physique is strong, there is a faint feeling that he is about to be unable to sustain it. Wuang, I leave it to you. Without thinking much, he immediately shouted to Wuang, who was moving left and right among the Cyclops army in front of him. At the same time, with a thought, let the phantom clone around you activate the void space to clear the buff status of all Cyclops within the range. He and Kong Ming had already used the void space just now, so they couldn't use it again in a short time, but the clones were not affected. Seeing that the one-eyed army's explosive state was cleared again, Wuang understood immediately and turned into an afterimage and disappeared into the air, making the one-eyed cavalry, who besieged him, fail to attack. Cannon, go support Wuang. When Lin Yu saw this, he immediately shouted to the cannon in the distance. Although he now possesses 9 fragments of his godhead, and his royal strength is close to the SSS level, it is still very difficult to kill him alone in a short period of time, so he had to bring in the artillery, double insurance, and he was filling in the cannon position to block the one-eyed cavalry that broke through the defense line. Bang! I don't know how long it took, but there was a violent explosion. The deadly sniper shot from the cannon penetrated the stars, turned into a red afterimage and passed through the Cyclops army, heading straight to the rear. At the same time, Wu Ying, who had sneaked behind the sacrificial elder, burst out, instant shadow, and shadow kill. He teleported behind the sacrificial elder, and suddenly landed a double attack that ignored the defense. Feeling the threat of death, the wrinkled face of the one-eyed priest elder suddenly changed. He immediately thrust the scepter into the ground, and rushed out of the earth walls in an attempt to push back the offensive of Wuang and cannon. Boom! Streamers of flames exploded on the earthen wall. After a moment of pause, it passed directly through. At the same time, a cold light flashed through, and between the flames and the cold light, 2 masses of blood mist exploded on the head of the sacrificial elder, and a shrill scream was heard. Kill the 10th level Lord monster, and obtain 100 million points of magic energy. As the reminder sounded in his mind, Lin Yu, who was in the army of plants, finally breathed a sigh of relief. Without the blessing of the sacrificial elders, the remaining Cyclops army could no longer pose any threat to him. What surprised Lin Yu was, the moment the one-eyed priest elder fell down, a shining golden treasure box was revealed in the tent behind him. Treasure chest. After seeing clearly what was in the camp of the one-eyed priest elder, Lin Yu suddenly became excited. He hasn't seen the treasure chest for a long time, since the change in the monster plane. The appearance of treasure chests also means that there is a high chance that you will find good things or rare treasures. Not willing to waste time, they immediately gathered their team, and began to eliminate the Cyclops army, and the remaining Lord monsters with all their strength. Without the blessing of the priests and elders, the strength of those Lord monsters can be said to be greatly reduced. The 2 SSS level one-eyed terrors that were able to block his attack before were finally knocked back by the wooden spikes that exploded on the ground. Good chance, Lin Yu shouted, and King Dong, who was at the front, immediately rushed forward, slashed out the disaster sword bamboo, and a sharp sword energy tore open the entire thigh of one of the one-eyed terrors, causing it to fall to the ground. The Mushroom Demon King in the rear seized the opportunity, and together with the Mushroom Army, they turned their spearheads and still aimed at the one-eyed terror with large amounts of mushrooms. Boom, boom, boom. A violent explosion rang through my ears, causing the air to shake violently. With the blessing of double the power of the explosion, The severely injured one-eyed terror finally became completely silent with an unwilling howl. Kill the 10th level Lord Monster and obtain 100 million mana. The moment the reminder sounded in his mind, Lin You didn't move slowly. The offensive and defensive belt effect is activated, swapping spirit and physique. Then, together with several newly copied phantom clones, the power of rules exploded, condensing several huge piranha shadows in front, and biting the remaining one-eyed terror that was seriously injured by Linksy. With a sharp tug, it was torn into pieces and blood spilled wildly. Kill the 10th level Lord Monster and obtain 100 million mana. After 2 prompts in succession, 3 of the 5 SSS level Lord Monsters were finally successfully eliminated, causing the plant's pressure to suddenly decrease. The remaining 2 SSS class and 7 or 8 A class and S class are no longer enough to threaten them. In the end, under the crazy attack of Ivy that broke out in bloody madness, it suffered heavy losses one after another and was overwhelmed by the swarming plant army. The remaining more than 10,000 Cyclops were leaderless, and suddenly lost all will to fight. They abandoned their helmets and armor and fled in all directions. The originally ferocious offensive was instantly resolved. Okay, don't chase me anymore, Lin You shouted to the plants that were chasing them. The number of high-level Lord Monsters in this monster space was beyond his imagination. Running around would only attract more SSS level Lord Monsters. It's okay if there are less than 5. At least they can burst into a wave and drop a few in seconds, and then slowly consume the rest. But once there are more than 5, plus the harassment of other SS level and S level Lord Monsters, it is not so easy to deal with. In particular, the skills of those Lord Monsters are very powerful. Many of them have group gain skills, or instant burst capabilities, which are not much weaker than his savage roar. He had just used all his skills, so it would be safer to wait until he recovered a little before moving on. Master, we have collected a total of 130 rule fragments, and nothing else. Just as he was thinking about it, Wuang, the fastest, had already arrived in front of him with the rule fragments collected from the corpse of the Lord Monster. Lin You took the fragment and was overjoyed. Although some hundreds of ordinary soldiers were lost in the battle just now, the gains were astonishing. These rule fragments plus the previous ones are almost 300 pieces, which has already caught up with the accumulation of half a day in his original universe. If the kings outside, who have not yet come and hear the news, they will probably rush into the monster space like crazy. This is simply an excellent opportunity to quickly improve your strength. It seemed that we had to push deeper before those people came in large numbers. Time was running out. After putting away the rule fragments, Lin You immediately led the team to the Cyclops sacrifice camp and slowly opened the golden treasure box. Aha! The moment the treasure chest was opened, a dazzling light lit up, almost dyeing the entire inside of the tent golden. When the light gradually dissipated, the 3 things lying quietly in the treasure box came into Lin Yu's eyes. A scroll, a golden troop token, and a golden blank token. That's right, it's just a blank token with no pattern engraved on it. The other token was okay. Lin Yu could tell at a glance that it was a rare Cyclops token. Picked it up, and saw that it was indeed the case. Unit token, Cyclops Cavalry, Humanoid. Unit level, Rare. Army level, Level 10. Introduction, after use, you can unlock the rare humanoid unit, Cyclops Cavalry. Requirements for use, Level 10 territory, 50 million mana, rule fragments x5. The strength and defense of the Cyclops Cavalry are much higher than those of ordinary cavalry. It is conservatively estimated that they can be exchanged for 50 rule fragments. It is equivalent to killing 5 SSS level Lord Monsters, which is also a big gain. After putting it away, Lin You looked at the blank token shining with golden light, and slowly picked it up. Military token, blank certificate, none. Item level, rare. Item level, level 10. Introduction, used by designated ordinary troops, permanently increasing the basic potential of this type of troops to a rare level. Requirements for use, Level 10 territory, 500 million mana, rule fragments x50. Is there even such a thing? Lin Yu was stunned for a moment, his eyes full of shock. The basic potential of ordinary arms is raised to the rare level, which means that the basic attributes of the specified arm type can reach the level of rare arms. Notice, it's a designated type, not a single unit. That is to say, he can improve the basic attributes of an entire branch of arms. This is absolutely terrifying, because there is a difference of 2,000 to 3,000 points in attributes between ordinary soldiers and rare soldiers. The overall improvement is simply a qualitative leap. It just so happened that he always felt that the defense of the ancient tree soldiers was not enough. As the main defensive force of his plant army, the ancient tree soldiers have the physical protection inherited from the 4-leaf clover mutation to increase their physical fitness by 40%, but they are still a bit weak when facing the Lord Monsters. If it can be improved a little more, his team's survival rate will be much higher. Think about it, just try to use this token. Token activation is successful. Please specify the type of soldier. It really works. Lin You was overjoyed and immediately selected a branch of the ancient tree. The next second, the blank token in his hand turned into a stream of light and merged into his body, heading straight for the world tree in the original space. Congratulations, the transformation is successful. The attributes of all arms in the tree spirit branch have changed. Please check it yourself. Hearing the success prompt, Lin You quickly clicked on the attributes of two different ancient trees next to him. Name: Venerable Ancient Tree, Normal, Race Plant, Level 10, Strength, 47,000, plus 47,000, Physique, 47,000, plus 82,720, Agility, 45,000, plus 45,000, Spirit, 45,000, plus 45,000, Skills: Physical Protection, Brutal Crash, Sweeping Thousands of Armies, War Trample, War Wall, activate the power of nature to build a defensive wall in front to resist damage equivalent to the physical attribute, lasting 10 seconds. Introduction: the venerable among the ancient trees charges into battle, tears down the enemy's defenses, and is the strongest shield on the battlefield. Name: Nature Venerable, Normal, Race Plant, Level 10, Strength, 45,000, plus 45,000, Physique, 47,000, plus 82,720, Agility, 45,000, plus 45,000, Spirit, 47,000, plus 47,000, Skills: Physical Protection, Brutal Crash, Sweeping Thousands of Armies, Prosperity, Nature Guardian. The attributes of the Dryad summoned by Prosperity are increased to 80%. After death, Life Essence blooms on the spot, and a defensive shield is cast for all allies within the range. Resist an attack not exceeding your own level, triggered every 10 seconds. Introduction: an ancient tree that is good at communicating with nature and good at summoning tree demons to fight. When the level reaches a certain level, one tree can be the leader of thousands of armies, as expected. The attributes of these two units belonging to the tree spirit branch have been strengthened, directly reaching the level of rare units. With the blessing of various skills and divine attributes, the upper limit of physical fitness has reached nearly 130,000, which is almost comparable to D-level Lord monsters. You must know that he has more than 5,000 such troops. In the savage roaring state, it can withstand an SSS level blow without any problem. It's a shame that he just lost so many troops. This improvement alone is completely worth the trip. The only thing that made Lin You a little regretful was that King Gong is defined as a royal family, and its basic potential is already higher than the rare level, so it does not receive blessings. But he wasn't greedy either. He turned off the interface and continued to look at the last thing, the golden scroll. Name: Skill Scroll, Territory, Grade, Rare, Level 10. Introduction: after use, you can understand the territory skill, Group Bloodlust, which can be cast through the power of rules. It can be used by humanoid and humanoid types. Group Bloodthirsty, active, gather the power of rules, ignite the blood of all allies, increase all attributes by 15%, and become immune to mental control effects, lasting 25 seconds. It turned out to be the signature skill of the one-eyed priest elder. Lin You couldn't help but be surprised when he saw the information interface in front of him. Territory skills, like his mutation ability, can be used directly once learned. They are additional skills unique to the Lord. This thing is a rare thing. Although the effect is not as good as Qin Gang's Savage Roar, it is an extremely rare additional explosive method. Lin You can even imagine that if he sells this scroll, it will cause many humanoid and humanoid kings to scramble for it. It's not a problem to sell 300 or 400 rule fragments, maybe even more. Nice one. Lin You couldn't help but admire. A treasure chest not only improved his strength, but also obtained such precious props, which far exceeded his expectations. Let him look forward to the next exploration even more. Without wasting any more time, he checked that nothing was missing, and after repairing it on the spot, he led the plant army forward to find the whereabouts of the Space Corps. And not long after he left, the kings outside the space finally received the news that there were a large number of lords, monsters and top-level treasures in the space, and they immediately rushed into the space gate like crazy. In the blink of an eye, the entire monster space became lively. Kings from all walks of life formed teams, and began to slowly advance into the space. Melees could be seen everywhere. A shocking roar sounded in the monster space. An SSS-level red-feathered golden eagle fell from the sky under the siege of Lin You and the plant army. Kill the 10th level Lord monster, and obtain 100 million mana. Okay, let's recover first. Hearing the prompt in his mind, Lin You shouted to the royal family. Then he came to the body of the red-feather golden eagle, and collected the 10 rule fragments, that exploded into the space. This is already the 30th SSS level Lord Monster he has killed along the way, and there are countless other levels, and the number of rule fragments has directly accumulated to more than 1,000 pieces, much faster than expected. At this rate, it would not be a problem for him to accumulate enough rule fragments to upgrade to the 11th level in a short period of time. After briefly repairing and restoring the place, he continued to move forward with the plant army and went deep into the space at the same time. In all directions of the monster space, compared with Lin Yu's relaxation and comfort, the situation of other 10th level lords is not so good. Facing the endless stream of high-ranking lord monsters, it was almost a mess, and melee figures could be seen everywhere. Quick, another SS level centaur is coming over there. Stop it quickly. We can't stand it anymore. Here's some more personal support. Where's the outbreak? Don't even bother with group outbreaks. Start it now. Hold on. We'll win if we take care of these two SS class ones. Shouts and roars continued to sound at various entrances to the monster plane. Even those lords with 7 or 8 fragments of their godhead could only withstand the attack of the lord's monster group with difficulty. The old king, who had 9 fragments of his godhead, was in a slightly better situation, but he was also held back by a large number of S-level and above lord monsters, making his progress slow. In the end, they had to form a team to fight together, and then they barely stabilized the formation, but they had no intention of evacuating the space, because the monster resources here are so huge that they have never seen them before. There are lord monsters everywhere, and if you kill one, you can get a profit equivalent to several days of their principality. Only a fool would give up such a rare opportunity. This also resulted in more and more kings starting to spontaneously form teams, and constantly competing for monster resources in the space, and conflicts and fights from all walks of life became more and more frequent. Master, we found a basin ahead, where a large number of lord monsters gather. Deep in space, Lin You, who was exploring with the plant army, was interrupted by Kong Ming's voice. A large number of lord monsters. Lin Yu's eyes lit up and he immediately sent an emerald dragon king flying forward. Sure enough, he found a huge basin 3 kilometers away with a large number of undead skeletons and resentful soul monsters wandering around. The number is huge, nearly 50,000. Among them there are also huge figures, nearly 500 in number. It is the 10th level lord monster, the skeleton general. Let's go and take a look first. Lin Yu was in high spirits, and immediately led the team to speed up and approach. 500 lord monsters are equivalent to thousands of rule fragments. If you can eat them all, it will definitely be a huge sum of money. Although it is very difficult to deal with so many lord monsters, Lin Yu does not want to miss such a golden opportunity. He only hopes that the chaos level of those lord monsters is not high. Not long after, the plant army came to the top of the basin in a mighty manner, hid behind a row of protrusions on the edge, and began to observe the situation inside the basin. It was only then that Lin Yu finally found out the specific information about those skeleton generals. Name: Skeleton General, Lord, Race, Undead, Level 10, S level, Power, 100,000, plus 80,000, Physique, 100,000, plus 80,000, Agility, 95,000, plus 76,000, Spirit, 95,000, plus 76,000, Skills: Heavy Smash, Summon of the Undead, War Roar, Commander of the Undead, Chaos, all attributes increased by 80%. Introduction: the Commander of Undead Monsters has the ability to control ordinary undead, and can greatly increase the strength of the undead around him. S level. Lin Yu frowned slightly. This was higher than he imagined. 500 lord monsters with 180,000 attributes are no joke. Then he looked elsewhere. Suddenly I was attracted to something in the center of the basin. I saw a dark long sword stuck in the place where the skeleton monsters were densest. Within 100 meters, almost everything within a radius of 100 meters was shrouded in the death energy emanating from the long sword, and even the ground was eroded into black. Vaguely, you can also see a death aura hovering above the basin, slowly gathering around the long sword, causing the dark clouds in the sky to swirl with it. This sword, very simple. Lin Yu's eyes gradually narrowed, thinking about how to get the sword. The number of lord monsters inside is too large. Even if he has 10 powerful royal families, he is not sure that he can deal with so many at once, and he may even suffer heavy losses, but it would be a waste of time to slowly lure them out bit by bit and kill them. At that time, I am afraid that many kings from other realms will come to snatch the resources. Although he is not afraid, once there are more people, it will always be a bit troublesome. After all, anyone who dares to enter here will not be too weak. It seems that is the only way to do it. Ivy. Lin Yu looked back at King Teng, who had already gathered up the vines. After devouring the corpses you just collected, are you sure you can kill more than half of the monsters? Along the way, He collected a total of more than 10,000 corpses of 10th level monsters in preparation for emergencies. I didn't expect to use it so soon. Master, you underestimate me too much. If you swallow them all, I can dismantle all these bones, King Tang said very confidently. As the most powerful war machine under Lin You, she is definitely qualified to say such words. 10,000 corpses are enough for her attributes to exceed 200,000. There are still us. We are here to help. We will definitely have no problem dealing with these monsters, the Mushroom Demon King on the side said immediately. The other royal families looked eager to try. Lin You thought for a moment and said, okay, King Tang will be responsible for the main attack later, and you will be responsible for the support. If the situation goes wrong, just retreat. Don't be reluctant to fight. After saying that, he took a deep breath and looked directly at the long black sword in the center of the basin. Do it. With one command, he threw all tens of thousands of corpses into the air, while simultaneously activating the power of rules and unleashing a barbaric roar. Then with a burst of sound breaking through the air, the ivy vines soared into the sky, piercing through the corpses and sucking all the flesh and blood out of them. In the blink of an eye, a strange red light began to emerge from her body, and the already powerful aura began to rise. The undead army in the basin noticed the movement here, and all of them suddenly lit up their dark fires, and all their dark eye sockets looked over. However, before they could launch an attack, Ivy's giant octopus-like vines were already spreading rapidly into the basin, swimming crazily. Boom! With a loud noise, countless vines rushed out of the ground, smashing a large skeletal monster in front of them into pieces. The plant army followed closely behind, rushing into the basin under the leadership of other royal families. Everywhere he looked, there were twisted and tangled weird plants, almost all over the entire basin. Roar! Finally, the skeleton general in the basin reacted. With a roar, all the undead monsters turned into a white torrent, and collided with Lin Yu's plant army. Those Lord-level skeleton generals were holding heavy swords, and slashing wildly at the ancient tree troops rushing at the front. Defense. Hearing Qin Gang's shout, all the ancient tree sages activated the war barrier, and gathered a defensive shield in front of them. The Lord of Nature retreated to the rear, summoning tree demons in groups to share the damage with them. Then a series of loud bangs were heard. The forward momentum of the ancient tree army was stopped, and the skeleton general's attack was successfully blocked. When the long-range troops in the rear saw this, they immediately took action. Exploding mushrooms and vines flew, pea bullets and dandelion seeds spread all over the field, and they bombarded the charging skeleton monsters indiscriminately. In the sky, there were even green dragons and lanterns passing by, launching airstrikes. Just as the skeleton generals holding giant swords were about to fight back, countless giant vines appeared at their feet and entangled them. Ah ha 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 ha! Die! Just die! Ivy, who was in a bloody and frenzied state, had completely fallen into madness. He let out a sharp laugh while swinging the vines wildly, smashing the skeleton generals to the ground, making loud crashing sounds. Kill the 10th level Lord Monster, and obtain 100 million mana. Kill the 10th level Lord Monster, and obtain 100 million mana. Kill the 10th level Lord Monster, and obtain 100 million mana. In just one encounter, 3 skeleton generals died under her attack. They were smashed to the point where the hellfire dissipated, and their bones were shattered. Their deaths were extremely tragic. Even though Lin Yu knew King Tang's strength very well, he was still shocked. You must know that these are all S-level Lord monsters. A total of 180,000 physiques were lost in a second. You can imagine how terrifying Ivy is in a bloody and frenzied state. After all, 180,000 physical fitness does not only represent blood volume, it doesn't mean that if the attack exceeds 180,000, it will be killed instantly. It also represents defense. Even an attack of 200,000 can only cause 20,000 damage. Just a few hits like this and it fell instantly. It was really worthy of the tens of thousands of corpses he had worked so hard to collect. Full speed ahead. Without any further nonsense, he asked the Banshee vine beside him to use vines to retract the exploding rule fragments and treasures, and then directly issued an attack order. Then, under the attack of Ivy's crazy vines, the skeleton monsters fell in pieces. The reminders in Lin Yu's mind kept ringing. Finally, after more than 2 minutes, nearly half of the skeleton generals and skeleton monsters were killed. Tunton, count down the time for King Tang. Seeing that the bloody frenzy effect of Ivy began to fade, Lin Yu immediately asked Swallowing Sky, who was leading an army of piranha flowers to devour skeletons, to cast the final countdown skill on her. The next second, an ancient clock dial appeared behind King Tang. With a dang sound, the time was set back to 1 minute ago, and the bloody and frenzied effects were recalled again. There's more than 1 minute left, everyone. Please work harder. Lin Yu had already used his final countdown just now, so he had no choice but to rush forward and deliberately let the ordinary skeleton's attack fall on him. Good luck. As soon as the skeleton archer's arrow touched his arm, it triggered 50% of Phantom Walker's dodge effect, splitting into a phantom clone exactly like him. Then the power of the clone's rules condensed, and he launched a savage roar again, continuing his explosive state. As they fought and advanced like this, they finally eliminated most of the monsters, and successfully arrived near the long black sword.
Thank you for watching Mystic Realms Recap. Please like, share and subscribe. Have a great day.